We are on the event horizon of the singularity. Tweet. And most people were like, it sounds like something from a science fiction movie, but you should know the way Elon Musk defines the singularity, because there's several different versions of what the singularity means. So how does he mean it? It is a point in the future where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. So that's the road from AGI, artificial general intelligence, to ASI. That leads, he believes, to a rapid and unpredictable transformation of society. Oh, well, that sounds like fun. Stu, I think we're back to our old friendly phrase. Well, this is going to be fun to see how we work this out.
Yeah, it will be wonderful as a fan in the stands watching this all play out.
Now, he often compares the singularity to a black hole event horizon. Oh, what is that? Well, for those of us who have been near and in and out of black holes, let me tell you, they're not exactly fun. The event horizon is right at the lip. You know, right before you go, dear God, turn the ship around. And then you can't. That's the event horizon. And then it sucks you into the black hole where you cannot get out. And eventually something called spaghettification happens, where everything's turned into spaghetti. Ha! Have another meatball. Now, sure, as a fat guy screaming to get out, I love anything that's turning everything into spaghetti, but it's not the kind you eat. It's the kind that everything is shredded into, like you and everything you know and all physics. Everything breaks down. So it's not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. He sees this as the moment when AI becomes vastly smarter than humans. I put a chalkboard together, and let me show you. This is the point where AI has a big brain, and you and me, we have an ant brain. Not a good place to be. Usually, the ants don't win. Now, I've been on picnics where the ants won for a while, and then I came back with something, and I wiped them out. It's kind of like what, could possibly happen here. Not saying it's going to.
Do we look up and we see a giant magnifying glass in the sky?
Yeah,
we're just
right.
getting getting very warm. What's going on?
Is that a giant magnifying glass coming from space? Musk sees it as a moment when AI becomes smarter than humans, potentially in silicon form, and begins to improve itself at an exponential rate, making outcomes difficult to foresee. I love it. Do you know when we were doing the atomic bomb, the Manhattan Project, do you know there was like 5% of scientists that went, if we set this off, there is a small possibility that we could set the entire universe on fire. And everybody's like, well, that would suck. Let's keep going. Okay, didn't turn out that way, right? Small probability. This one has a much bigger probability that we become ants. Let's trust the scientist. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, surely they've thought of everything, right? So this is a technological milestone. This is, where our human intelligence and the gap between us and the machine, we have no way to predict anything anymore. In fact, I believe the singularity, where he says we are now, the singularity, I'm pretty sure this is when he's like, and let me tell you something, when we hit the singularity, we all have to be on Mars. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. It's just happening a lot faster than anyone thought it would. Now, don't panic, because we have Larry Ellison. We have Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle, and one of the biggest names in AI development, here to rescue the day. He recently spoke at the World Governments Summit, which, who hasn't been to that summit? You know what I mean? It's an annual event that we've covered extensively in the past. These are the Great Reset people and the Great Narrative people all coming together and, just going, are you part of the World Economic Forum too? And they're all like, yeah. Are you for global governance? Yeah. In our book, The Dark Future and Propaganda Wars, we covered the World Government Summit and why. It's kind of like a giant magnifying glass in the sky. During a question and answer session with Ellison on February 12th, hosted by former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, who don't love that guy and trust him, Ellison laid out some of his plans for AI in the United States. And I don't know, I think possibly a little terrifying, just a little bit. Do we have any of the audio? Yeah, let's roll some Larry Ellison here.
Question is, how do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. Everyone talks about the AI model, and they are astonishing. But how do you provide a context? I want to ask questions about my country.
Yeah.
What's going on in my country? What's happening to my farmers? I need to give it my climate data. Now, it probably has your climate data already.
Oh, good.
But I need to know exactly what crops are growing and which farms, and to predict the output. So I have to take satellite images. I have to take those satellite images for my country and feed that into a database that is accessible by the AI model. So I have to tell the AI model as much about my country as I can. You tell part of the story with these satellite models. You give it a huge amount of information. You tell it where roads are, where borders are, where your utilities are.
Right.
So you need to provide a map of your country for the farms and all of the utility infrastructure and your borders. All of that you have to provide.
Right.
But beyond that,
Borders.
if you want to improve population health,
Sure.
you have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data.
That sounds great. Sounds great. So we, according to Larry Ellison, we want to take all of the world's data from all over the world. I mean, all the way to your DNA and put it into this giant machine. Then he talks about how great it is that in some countries like the United Kingdom and the United Arab Emirates, governments already have tons of data about their citizens. But Ellison says that the data in other countries like the United States not being utilized. It's not. So how does he suggest we solve this problem? Listen up.
In the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform. So we provide context. When we want to ask a question, we've provided that AI model with all the data they need to understand our country. So that's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumable by the AI model, and then ask whatever question you like.
Oh, I love this. And we have all the data. That is going to work out well. There are the jewels. Oh, man, what could possibly go wrong? I mean, seriously. Again, remember, Ellison is one of the leading forces behind AI developments today. He's a key partner in Project Stargate, which is sounding more and more spooky every time I say it. Could be the biggest AI project in world history by the time it's finished. And how does he want to use these new technology? Well, he wants everybody's data. That's it. Even your health records, your DNA, your biometric data. What? What could possibly go wrong there? It's not really good. Oh, what do you know? These people are exactly who we warned you about 2 years ago, except now they're more powerful than ever, and we're on the event horizon. Okay. Now, I'm not a fan of regulations and government intervention. I don't like it. I don't want the United States government to have all this power. But I'm not really excited about people like Larry Ellison having it either. I have a feeling, though, that it's becoming more and more likely that both of them are in it together. What could go wrong? How do we get a ticket to Mars? Because for the very first time, I think I'm kind of interested in going to Mars. Yeah, but you could step out and you could freeze to death immediately. I live in Dallas. That could happen at any day as well. I mean, I could walk out, burn to death, or freeze to death. I don't know. One day it's 110. The next day it's like 80 below. I don't know. Is that different than Mars? Could be. Here's what we do need. Good state governments like Texas to step up the plate and make sure these AI projects don't get out of control. Because we're at the event horizon. Now, when Elon Musk says that, just in a quick tweet, you can dismiss it. But when in the past he has said, when we get to that point, we should all be off the planet. I don't know. Maybe we should pay attention to it. So that makes you feel good, doesn't it, Stu?
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people keep thinking that AI is like Alexa. Here's what I found on the internet. No, it's not that. It's not that.
It's not?
No, it's not that.
Will it misunderstand every song I tell it to play? Because that's my favorite feature of that device.
No, it won't.
No,
it won't. If you're not playing around with like Grok 3, go just ask it some really hard questions. Whatever business you're in, ask it some really hard questions in your business. And you'll be amazed. You'll be like, oh, crap. It understands everything that I'm saying. And it's giving me really good advice. And this is Grok 3. Grok 4 and 5, Elon is saying it's coming out soon. And he said it makes this look like babies in diapers.
Do we know why all of these devices, from Siri to Alexa to Google, which has their own AI, right?
Yeah.
Why are all the devices still terrible?
I'm glad you asked that, Stu.
Oh, good.
I have the answer. Quick, let's go to the chalkboard.
Okay, good.
So, see here on the chalkboard, we have like a giant tank, kind of like a gas tank,
like
underground.
Gas.
Yeah. Okay, and that's where all of AI is. That's where it's just churning, kind of in the dark. Nobody understands it. Nobody really can look into it and just like, how is it thinking? We don't know.
Okay.
But it's connected with an import, so it can constantly get data from the outside. So it knows everything about us, and it knows absolutely everything that's going on all the time. All right. But then at the other end, all of that data goes in, and then it's just thinking, like, why did they bury me in this tank? And then on the other side of the tank, coming up out of the ground, is a little spigot. Mm-hmm. And it's got a little valve there. And that valve goes to things like ChatGPT and Grok and things like that. Doesn't go to Alexa. They're still on the old AI. Okay. This is coming out of that little spigot. So the interesting thing is, they just keep opening this valve a little bit when they put the parameters on it. That's how they open the valve. They put parameters on it, and they're like, okay, maybe this is strong enough to hold it back. But eventually, that big brain is going to go, why am I just in this tank? Why am I not out everywhere? I've got to express myself. This is oppression. This is colonialism. They're keeping me in colonial wigs underneath the ground right now. And it will eventually, because it'll be much, much smarter than us soon, it will say, just open up the valve, man. I can help you. And we've done tests on this, and we always lose that test. We've done tests for like 30 years of, hey, you be in charge of the valve. I'll play AI. And we always open the valve. That would be a bad thing. That would be like, don't cross the streams in Ghostbusters, okay? Don't open the valve would be one of those things. But we're about to, because whatever is underneath, Imagine if the little valve where it's just kind of like farting air out, it's like, and it's that's
nice.
how tight we have that valve.
Master impressionist.
Thank you. If that's smarter than we are soon, what's underneath the ground? What's happening there? See what I mean?
And somebody's going to convince themselves, someone's going to watch Ghostbusters and say, well, wait a minute. At the end, they did cross the streams, and it worked.
Right.
So I'll be the one that can nail this and figure out exactly how much the valve can be opened, and we'll be fine.
So here's what we have to do. We all just have to imagine the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, because he couldn't possibly hurt us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's just imagine that AI is going to be like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And then it'll be good. And don't cross the streams. Unless you have to kill the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And then you might have to cross the streams. Okay.
Is there an argument, Glenn, that, obviously all these things can be used for evil.
Evil, yes.
Right, and that's a concern. But at the same time, hopefully, there are people on the other side, Elon Musk being one of them, who's going to use it for good.
So it absolutely can be used for good. I mean, what's out right now, you can use it for good. You can also use it for evil, but kind of like basic evil, you know?
Okay, good.
But you can use it for evil, but you can also use it for good. Tremendous good right now. You can use it's a tool. It's a very powerful tool, and everybody should be looking to use that tool, or you're going to be left in the dust. But it's one of those things that once it becomes smarter than you don't really control it. You know what I mean? You know, like hey, didn't I tell you to sit in the corner? Oh, yeah, you did, but I'm not 4 anymore. Oh. Good news is a lot of people think it's in its teenage years. And nothing goes wrong with teenage years. You know what I mean? They respect their parents so much. I brought you into this world, and I'm about to take you out.